Good morning, everyone. How are you? All right. Let's see if we can get a few people connected here. Here we go. And we're going to share it. All right, there we go. Good morning. Quick introductions, of course. I'm Patricia Hayes, your executive advisor, career empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And I'm super excited to have you here today with our coffee time career chat that we host on Mondays and Wednesdays, 10-ish. We got a little slow start today because it's been a long week previously going into a holiday weekend. So thank you for joining. So glad to be here yet again with a new month. Y'all know we start changing the overall topic, the overall theme, I should say, when we get into a new month. And I'm excited for this new month where we're going to be talking about making empowered moves. And we're going to be talking about that in the context of your mindset, which we'll start on today, your relationships, your leadership abilities, and also just, what inspires you to keep moving and what you can seek to do along the way. So we try to kind of keep it along similar veins, but changing the overall theme. And I'm excited to start this new month with you all. If this is your first time, thank you, and welcome. But also feel free to catch up. You can catch up on the Facebook page, PVH Consulting. But it's probably more efficient to catch up on the YouTube channel. So you can go hunt for Patricia V. Hayes and you can find me there. And I'll drop the link below afterwards. So remind me to do that. Okay. So as I stated, this week we are talking about new level, new mindset. You've heard that phrase, new level, new devil. And that's exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about making empowered moves in your personal and professional life, and how that every time it seems, right, because it's a real thing, when you are about to get to the next level of whatever, like you're really going strong, you're going hard, and you're ready to make that move, and then something absolutely insanely crazy happens. And you're like, what in the world? And I love those moments because once you realize what they are, you're like, yes, come for me. And I'll explain why you should be saying yes to those crazy moments that happen, because it's, like I said, it's a reflection of that you're doing the right thing. Not that you're not doing the right thing, but it's actually a reflection that you are on the right path. And just had a client experience that literally in the last 2 weeks. We were working together on making some big shifts so that she can plan some shifts. And literally the weekend that she was supposed to be working on things, like she got ill. I mean, like severely ill, had to cancel her plans. And I said, and she was like, well, you reminded me. And I was like, yes, we never know what the context is going to be, but it does happen. So how do we get to those moments? How do we get to those moments where we're facing that challenge, right? Where we're facing that opportunity? Well, here's the thing. A lot of times along the way, especially for women, we feel like we're kind of doing this all the time, right? We're always in this mindset game. Now, let's be correct. Let's be specific. I'm not a mindset coach, right? Like I have tons of other people that I know who are masters at that. So I am not going to take on that title, but I am going to talk about it in the context of when you are pursuing your goals, when you are pursuing higher opportunities, when you are trying to better yourself, that it's just a reality that issues affecting your mindset, affecting your confidence, self-doubt, all of those things come roaring in. And we need to be prepared to address them. So that's the first thing, right? If you're trying to get to a new level, you got to be prepared for the mindset challenge, okay? And the thing is people think that they can just kind of shake it off, right? It's like, okay, I really want to go. Let's use an example. I'll use myself as an example. There are tons of them. But it's like, I'm ready to move on to a new opportunity. And I'm thinking about way back when in one of my first jobs, where I was like ready to kind of looking and moving on, wasn't really sure, should I do this, should I do that? And I was really getting very paralyzed. And then the crazy moment happened at my job where I got accused of really, it's really kind of funny. I got accused of being supportive of someone else who was a rebel in the office. It really is laughable when we think about it right now, but that's literally it. So basically, it was a birds of a feather kind of thing, and I got aligned with this person because I continued to, work with people. And this is something that has always stuck with me throughout my career, right? I stick out and do the work. And sometimes that puts me on the bad side of someone because they don't like the other person. And guess what? You just got to roll with it and deal with it, all right? I literally just had that realization because that moved forward 10, 15 plus years later in a similar situation, much more at stake, right? It's the whole, well, who does your loyalties align with thing? And I'm like, you know what? That's really very high schoolish. Let's get a little more creative with this, right? But here's the deal. When you are faced with those situations, because you are ready to move forward, you're ready to move on, it's way too easy to try to ignore the warning signs that maybe it really is time for you to move on, or maybe you need to kind of pause and rethink what you're doing, right? It can go either way. But the point is that the situation itself gives rise to suddenly you're questioning your abilities. You're questioning your judgment, right? You're letting people get in your ear and inside your head by saying, well, why are you doing that? Or I wouldn't be doing that if I were you. And all of that stuff that just starts churning, right? Or you're never going to be able to do that. I don't know why you're trying to do that. Okay. Here's the thing. You just got to be prepared for it. It's not a question of if it's going to happen. It is a fact that it is going to happen. The question is, in what format is it going to show itself? Okay? That does not mean that you have to walk around like always on edge or things like that. That's not what we're talking about here. But it does mean that you have to put yourself in the space of being able to recognize when things come to you and for you to trust your gut. Now we get to the heart of the matter. Because when we're talking about trust, I just got chills, y'all. When we're talking about trusting your gut, that is something that is very, very challenging, especially when you have a lot of noise in the going on out there and around you. And especially when that noise is coming from people who are not trying to move themselves forward. So they're the crabs in the bucket, right? Trying to pull you down because they're not trying to go anywhere. They just don't want you to go anywhere either. I mean, those are the worst kinds. You could almost take the backstabbing, social climber or whatever, the person who's trying to get to where you are and wants to take you out. You know what? You could almost have some respect for that person because they are actually trying to get somewhere as well. And they see you as a threat. And so they want to move you out of your way. But what about those people coming from underneath who have no intentions, no desire to get to where you're trying to go? They just don't want to see you get there. Think about that. I take a lovely sip of coffee. Think about that. If you sit and think about that and going back in your situations, personally, professionally, and it just strikes you about what those situations look like. And when you take a moment to think about what those situations look like, the types of people that were involved, Because it doesn't have to be that specific person every time, right? It's a type of person who puts themselves in that place to challenge you, to question you, because that's really where you want to focus. And not in a way of, oh, I don't need to be prepared to fight them. No. You need to be prepared to recognize them when they show their ugly little face, and then be like, put them in the back seat, put them out of the car, whatever, but they can't come along for the ride. Okay? And I may have jumped ahead a little bit about the action part, but it's true. They can't come along for the ride. Okay? So that's another piece of the preparation, is you need to be prepared to take the action and move people away. Now, here's the thing. This can get difficult for some people, because sometimes this person, these people, these situations are going to be people and situations that you're extremely comfortable with. They may be close friends. They may be close family. But you're going to have to move them out of the way. And how do I mean? This does not mean I'm saying cut off your family, cut off your friends. It does mean that you're going to have to change your engagement with them. It's going to mean changing how you engage with them. Maybe you're not telling them every single move that you're making professionally anymore. They're just not privy to that information, right? Y'all can go talk about flowers and bees and, getting the new car or whatever, I don't know, but you're not talking about what you need to do in order to move to the next level. Because what you don't need are crabs in the bucket who are going to pull you down, the negative Nellies who are going to put additional doubt into your mind and attack your confidence. Because guess what? Most of us are perfectly capable of doing that all on our own. I know I can speak for myself. I do not need help in that regard, because perfectionist Patty right here, and y'all know I hate the name Patty, but perfectionist here, I am perfectly capable of questioning myself to death because I need it to be just right. Okay, so what we don't need is more people added to that. So be prepared. So this is all a part of preparing your mindset. If you really want to get to the next level in your career, in your goals, whatever they may be, you got to be prepared for the mindset challenges, because they're going to be there. Okay, and that's going to come in the form of people, in the form of situations. What did I say? People, situations, maybe even some habits that you may have to change, right? There's a whole list of things. I know when I work with my clients one-on-one, there's an assessment, and it actually kind of works through those things. What are those fears? What are those attitudes? What are those habits that are challenging you, and how you think about yourself and what you do and how you take action? Okay, like that is the first thing we do together. And it's always fascinating for me to get a new assessment back from someone, from a new client, and to see how they respond or not respond. Because sometimes the non-response is even more telling than the responses that they give, because that means there's some resistance there. Sometimes it's an open, it's a genuine, like, I don't have anything. But a lot of times people will put, I don't have this problem. That's different than leaving it blank, right? And so I like to think about that. And I'm going to challenge you to sit down, because this is the other thing that you have to do when you're preparing for those mindset challenges, is you have to give yourself time. You have to give yourself grace. And in order to do that, you have to take the time to reflect, okay? In order to get that time and grace, you have to give yourself time to reflect. And that means getting your lovely, I'm trying to find one of my other journals. Y'all know I have a ton of them, but we're going to use my planning journal right here. So, whether it's your planning journal, whether it's your thought process journal, my beautiful one that I'm doing now with my own executive coach, mindset coach, is one for me to really express and use my creative pieces in it and things like that. But the point is, you're using something else to help it get outside of your head. There was an article, and I'm trying to look for it. Hey, Connie. Oh my gosh, it's Connie. I just realized it was like, hey, Connie. Because there is this thing that people have this fear of expressing themselves, or that if they put it down in paper or something, it's going to be real. Guess what? That's exactly the point. Because we let things whirl around in our head, and half the time they're lies, right? Like we built something up to something that it is not. And we've spent a lot of time with it, therefore taking time away from us moving on to our next level goal, from moving on to achieving that thing that we really want to do. Instead, we live inside this whirlwind in our head full of negativity and self-doubt and just all kinds of crazy thoughts, when we just need to nip them in the bud or give them an outlet. So consider journaling your outlet for getting those things out on paper, getting them outside of your head. The second choice is talking through them with someone, right? A coach, a trusted colleague, a mentor maybe. But the point is you have to get them out. And even if you're talking through it with someone else, you would be surprised at the power in going ahead and putting it down on writing and what effect that is. Because when you put it down on paper, you're like, wow. Okay. And then you either feel like, I can't believe I'm thinking or feeling that way, or you're like, that's ridiculous, right? But it's when you put that out there and you can come back and it's like looking at a mirror, only it's on paper. That's exactly what it is. It's like looking in a mirror, but it's on paper, and you see those words and you see what's been whirling around in your head. And this is important for you to get to the next level. You have to acknowledge all of those things, those fears, those challenges, even the great stuff, because sometimes we're scared of being great. That's a whole other conversation. We'll save that one for another time. But sometimes we're scared of what will happen if we actually succeed. Hello, I've been there. Okay? And so we have to get to that point where we can acknowledge that, all right? Give yourself the time and the grace to do it. This is not saying, oh, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to knock all this stuff out, and it's going to be done. No, this is a journey. I have not said that in a while, but you need to remember this is a journey, okay? And it's a journey on the way to some place or something for you, whether it's you achieving your goal, a new level of being. A lot of people are going through transitions right now and realizing that things that they thought were important to them are no longer important to them. And so that requires a shift. And that can cause some self-doubt and some fear. And so I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Like, I've just spent my last 15 years dedicated to this work. What am I going to do? The reflection time will help you to work through that, will help lead you to that. What the next level is, what the fears are, what the challenges are, so that you can be prepared to be as empowered as you possibly can be along the journey. That's really what we're talking about. When we're acknowledging and trusting your gut and putting away the naysayers, getting them outside of your space, outside of your head, and then putting these things down on paper to reflect on so that we can come back to them and to noodle on as we move along the way. We're really talking about how am I going to strengthen myself to a level and a way of being that I can be my best self at that next level. That's what we're doing here. And see, that is the stuff that makes you go, woo. Now we're at that level of saying thank you to the crazies, right? And these are those situations that I mentioned at first, where so you're psyched, you're ready to go. You're like, this is fantastic. I'm a little scared. That's perfectly okay. And you may not know exactly where you're headed, but you're moving away from where you were. and you're moving to the next level, okay, and you've making that time in a making that investment in time, in a coach, in moving yourself forward in whatever it is, getting more education if that's appropriate, and then something nutsy happens, right? And I can tell you in like 3 different ways recently between myself and previous clients where this has shown up. Most recently is the situation that I described where the client that I'm working with who's trying to up level in a position to a new position that's going to be major, and all of a sudden in the midst of prepping for this new work, literally got sick with something chronic, but it had not shown itself, and there it was full blown for several days. But we had already talked about it, right? And how do we know? Because this client had worked with me previously, had already seen it, had been there, had done that. And so I was like, don't forget to expect the crazies. She's like, oh no, I don't want to think. I said, you got to be prepared for it. You're trying to up level to something fantastic. So you need to remember it's coming. And that's not so that you can brace yourself against it, because I don't want you to get broken, right? But it's so that you can be prepared and adapt accordingly, because it's going to be there. And then it was. And literally when it happened, she emailed me. She's like, oh my gosh, it happened. You said it would. Here we are. So here's where we're going to move. We're going to adapt. We're going to adjust this. And then we can finish doing this way. Absolutely. Got it. No problem. All right. Let's move back a few months for myself, right? Had decided to shift and change in a whole bunch of ways at once, right? So I'm still in the midst of that. It's still a lot of crazies going on. But this one was so major because literally within the week after having made the investment to hire another coach that would specifically help me with addressing my own mindset issues and moving my business to the next level, y'all, it was insane, both in positives and not so positives, right? So there was one client, a policy related client saying, oh, thanks, but no thanks. We don't need your services anymore, like out of the blue. And I was like, really? No, never mind the fact that I have been hemming and hawing about moving on from this client anyways, but there it was, right? Then, so there's that project that literally just like took care of itself right then and there. And then on the flip side of it is I get notification of, hey, you've been such a great contributor to your community. We want to present you with this award, and this award comes with a financial award. I was like, what? They're like, here, just fill out this paperwork. I was like, whoa, this can't be real. I mean, I did. I totally was like, this can't be real. I had to get the person who was nominating me on the phone. I was like, is this real? And there was like, wow. And I think there was a third thing. I can't exactly remember what it was. But literally within 48 hours, that happened. Why? Because I decided I was done with all this other play stuff, and it was time to get to a new level. I recognized that for me, that meant that I needed some targeted coaching in a very specific way. And so I went and I hired the person that I've been following for a couple of years. And we've known each other from other programs that we've been in together. And I gained a lot of respect for her work. She's no nonsense. She's fantastic. Anyone who's wondering or asking, her name is Kelly Ruda. I will be dropping her links because she's got some opportunities coming up. And I am willing to share her. But she's no nonsense. And this is for CEOs, for women on the move who are trying to get to the next level in their businesses, and they need to clear out the space to make room for it. Okay? So we all have those moments. Is that the first time I had that moment? Absolutely not. That's just the most recent one. Because when I go back and I sit back to look over 10, 15, 20 years plus professionally, I can now look and see those touch points where there was major shifts. and what the little quote crazy moment was, that was the trigger to say, jump or pull back, like make the decision. Okay. And that's where we take and get those opportunities, because here's the thing, those are fantastic signposts. Why? Because that is things coming together in the world to show you, I recognize that you're trying to move ahead. Universe, God, whatever you believe in, I believe in God. But coming ahead, it's like, you said you're ready. Let's go. You don't have to know everything you need to do. You just have to have a willingness and a willing spirit to move forward and do it even scared, even in fear, even when you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? One of my more recent clients who I had been talking to off and on for probably half a year, had not signed, but I was like, no worries, when you're ready. And when we got to this situation, and she was just like, there's just got to be a different way. I've got to do something different because this is not working for me. And I was just like, well, let's work through it. And so when we finally pulled together, and that was her first word, she's like, I'm like, how are you feeling about this? She's like, I am scared to death. And guess what? That is okay. Because having that fear, being a little scared, it means you're taking a chance on yourself. You're outside your comfort zone, and that is just where you need to be. Because it means you're pushing against the grain of where your mindset has been in this nice little comfort zone. Because you do realize that we get comfortable in our madness, right? If we're having a horrible, dysfunctional experience, no matter how bad it is, a lot of times we're too scared to move forward because we don't know what's out there. We at least know what this crazy dysfunction is. So why would we move out to something else where we don't even know? That's a real thing. We all do it. We've all been there. So we sit in this dysfunction, the discomfort of being comfortable. Does that make sense? Yes. So we sit in it for a long time sometimes. And to the point where we're unhappy, we're resentful, we just turn into nasty beings. And are there things externally that affect that and create that? Sure. But bottom line, it comes down to ourselves. When we realize that we are not being true to ourselves and that we are not recognizing our own power and strength from within to move on to the next level, then it's when we get uncomfortable with that level. When we've decided, I can't take this anymore. Like something's got to change. I don't know what it is or how to do it, but it's got to go. And when you get to that level of mindset, that is where the gold is, okay? And where you're ready to move forward. So take the leap, right? Again, you don't have to know, but you do have to trust. Trust your gut. Trust your gut. I have been in those situations where I did not trust my gut and I hung in there just a little while longer, to be loyal to someone or something. And it was like, that's a bad idea. All right. So there we are. New level, new mindset. Recognize that when you are pushing forward, when you are growing, when you are trying to achieve some new fantastic thing, there are several things you got to be ready for. Number one, you got to be prepared for the mindset challenge that's coming, because it is. Okay? If you want to get to a new level, you just need to be prepared for the challenges that are going to come in the form of self-doubt, lack of confidence. If some of these things don't exist already, they're going to they're going to rise to the top very easily, very quickly, probably, right? There's going to be moments where you have to trust your gut. You're not going to know, but you're going to have to do it, and you're going to have to take action. So, there's that thing, right? You're like, I have to take action on trusting my gut, and I don't know what I'm about to do. It's okay. It's okay. Then secondly, you have to remember to give yourself time and grace. Give yourself the time and the grace to reflect on what it is you're going through and what you're trying to get to. Okay? Because remember, you're going through in order to get to something. Okay? And you want to make sure you acknowledge that. It is not willy-nilly, and all those nasty negatives that will come from people who don't want to see you achieve. And it's hard to think that, but that's what it is. It may not be conscious for them, but it's all about them and their inability to pursue their own goals, nothing about you. All right? So don't internalize other people's fear and inability to get unstuck. And then as you remember that this is a journey, remember to say thank you to the crazy moments. Because when those crazy moments show up, when that chronic, help us, that chronic illness flares up out of the blue, when that car, just stops dead in the streets. I mean, like, these are serious, real moments, y'all, that have happened. I'm not talking theoretical. These are serious, real moments that have happened. And when they do, yes, the naturals would be upset and like, oh my God, I knew I shouldn't, you say, call it for what it is. It's like, yes, thank you for acknowledging I am on the right path. This is my crazy moment. I'm acknowledging it. And that means I am really on the path to my next greatest thing. Okay? There we are. Thank you for joining me. I can't see who else is out there. Let me make sure there aren't any questions. Make sure. It's a little harder these days on Facebook. So, thank you for joining, for sharing with me today. Don't forget that Coffee Time Career Chat on Wednesdays is all about networking. It is the Authentic Networking Edition. That one is pre-recorded, and so it does pop up and it's posted at 10 a.m. on all my social media channels, so you can check things out there. And do not forget to share. There are tons of fantastic things coming. I'm super excited to be sharing with you. And you all are my motivation for making sure I get those things done. So I'm having a few of those moments myself. I'm like, okay, pushing against the rub there and making sure that I can get to the next level and making sure that I can help you address your needs, your goals, and doing them in a way that is just empowering to you. That's what we're really talking about, right? That new level of empowerment that comes when you start recognizing and addressing your mindset concerns. Oh man, it's awesome. It is an awesome thing. And I would love to be with you along that journey. So feel free to reach out. Happy to get messages from you, whether in the DMs or via email. And if you want to set up a consult, let's do it. Okay. I still have openings for VIP intensives. We are in a new quarter. So yes, a new quarter, new VIP intensive slots are open and available. Take care, and I will talk again with you soon. Bye-bye.